The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components' location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Clark Cowlitz Fire and Rescue Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38569. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting first on the underside of the front bumper is where you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. Moving up onto the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Located in the center, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. As we move up onto the top of the bumper extension, you'll find a swivel 1.5-inch discharge on the passenger side. D-handle gains you access into the hose storage location for your front bumper load, and on the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. As we move on to the cab face, on the outer edge you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside of that location you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Above that you'll find a cluster housing emergency warning lights. As we move to the windshield, there are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving to the outer edge you'll find your mirror, which houses a flat and convex mirror. And as we move up toward the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Just above that on the roof, you'll find a forward-facing brow light. And then up onto the very top, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at the driver's side of the vehicle, full view. And we'll focus in on the cab section next, starting first with your front tire, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator in the front axle, Alcoa wheel, and Goodyear tire. As we move to the bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Into the step well, we'll find 2 items here. We'll go over those in just a few moments as a close-up. Moving just up from this location, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. As we move toward the rear cab wall, you'll find a shoreline auto eject, and then just above that, an emergency warning light. As we move to the door handles, these are easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also keyed. Right next to those are going to be the grab handle for gaining entry and exit out of the cab. As we move up to the very top section of the roof, you'll find your go light controlled from within inside the cab. Just over the front axle at the very top section of the cab, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. And as we move toward the rear cab wall, you'll find LED water tank level indicators. Moving toward the rear of the body at the midsection area, this is your pump panel. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Let's go ahead and move to the body section, first starting at the rear of the axle where you'll find your folding wheel chocks. There are 2 located here. Just in front of the rear axle, you'll find your marker turn indicator light. And then as we move directly over the rear axle, you'll find the lower zone emergency warning light. As we move toward the top of the apparatus body section, you'll find emergency warning lights in front of and rear of the body, and then also side-facing scene lights in front and also rear of the body. Let's go ahead and move around now to the rear of the apparatus, identify a few items here. Let's first start at the top with an emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. You'll also find an emergency warning light and scene lights directly on the upper portion of the body on the passenger and driver side. Located in the center, directly above the roll-up compartment door, is where you'll find a recessed backup camera. And then as we move just up and slightly to the left in this image, toward the driver's side, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. Located in the center, you'll find your recessed traffic advisor. And then further to the right is the D handle, which gains access to the pan door area where your ground ladders and also pike poles are located. Let's move around now to the passenger side. Just a quick point out, for the most part, identical body, side, and cab area. There is a difference. Let's move back to the exhaust. The exhaust does exit out the passenger side of the vehicle. I would like to point out extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. All compartments open, exposing the insides of the compartments. Let's start now with the driver's side and go inside to the stepwell area where you'll find an air inlet, and right next to that you'll find your battery voltage indicator. When plugged into Shoreline Power, the battery voltage indicator will become active, indicating the battery level. As we move up into the seat area, you do have an adjustable seat located, which is an air ride. As we move down to about the right ankle, you'll find this yellow placard, manufactured for your department, has the 5-digit job number, the gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, date of manufacture, the VIN number, and then all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find a foot pedal for the mechanical siren right next to the brake treadle. About the left knee, you'll find your master battery switch, quarter turn. As we move to the right, you'll find your engine, transmission, ABS J1939 diagnostic port for your maintenance team, and some switches. Those happen to be for your ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's go ahead and move up onto the dash area. We'll start on the far left of the dash, first with your ignition and start switch. Just inside that location, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights with one switch. Also your headlight switch and a panel switch, allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. As we move to the full right side, you'll find the OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. Moving up to the gauges, you'll find your transmission oil def level and water temp. On the right side, front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Located directly in the center is your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display with the tally lights above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right in the image here. Quick close-up. First, we'll start with the yellow diamond. This is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. You'll also find windshield wiper control, push to apply fluid, and then we move up just from that location to the push button Allison transmission pad with a note to pump and drive. We'll start at the very top section first. This is your monitor for your backup camera. As we move down from this location, you'll find siren control for your front siren and also PA speaker system. Just down from that, we do have some additional switches: engine brake on-off switch, setting switch for low, medium, and high, an air or electronic siren selector, mirror heat, and also load manager. Moving down to the Allison transmission pad, once again, push button, digital readout with an informational note to pump and drive, and also a caution regarding the retarder activation. As we move now to the pump shift, you'll find just to the right, you'll find mirror control for flat and convex mirror. You'll also find climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. We do have a few things here. This is the 12-volt access via USB, and then also a siren brake. I would like to point out the yellow placard located on the left. Height of the vehicle 9 feet 11 inches, length 30 feet 11 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 42,000 pounds. You'll also find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning switches. As we move further to the right, an additional switch panel for front scene, rear scene, driver scene, passenger scene, and high beam flash. When any of these switches have been activated, the light will illuminate of the switch, indicating that it is active. As we move further to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor control module. And as we move toward the center of the cab, looking just to the front area, difficult to see in this information here, but this is your HOS system, your traffic avoidance system. Also, you'll find your seatbelt information, red displaying someone is in the seat and not belted, green in the seat and belted. Also, a red light flashing indicating do not move your apparatus, you have a compartment or door open. Directly behind the driver's seat is where your battery charger is located. It will actively activate when plugged into Shoreline Power. As we move now to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning placard information located on the door panel. Just behind that, you'll find an additional storage compartment. D-handle gains you access. As we move back down to a close-up of the tire, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge indicator. We're now back into the crew cab area, where once again you'll find all of our safety and warning placard information on the door panel: door lock latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move now inside, you'll find 2 forward-facing SCBA seats on the rear cab wall, additional storage on each side, And then also you'll find the storage box, which is accessed from the exterior of the cab. As we move overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lenses. Also, you'll find your intercom system. And also in the very center section, you'll find an additional storage box, LED lighting located inside. There is also the access location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. They're at the rear portion of the engine housing. General view of the rear cab, 2 SCBA seats forward facing. Let's go ahead and move back to the pump panel area. We'll start first with the crosslays at the very top section. We have 3 crosslays located here, but first, before we get to that, let's take a look at the warning placard regarding entanglement hazard because of those crosslays. Then we look to the right, you'll find additional placards here regarding your Foam Pro system. This is the system instructions and also specifications. To the right in the red module is your Foam Pro system module that controls the foam system. And then to the right you have a foam level indicator for foam level tank A. As we move to the very top, you'll find your master intake gauge. Just to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. In between the two of those are your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and these are utilized for testing purposes. Moving down on the pump panel, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. Also right next to that, you'll find an audible speaker. This is for your audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, allowing you to brighten or dampen the sound. As we move to the right, we have some additional switches. What I'd like to point out here is your OK to pump. If you've properly engaged your pump from inside the cab, that light will be illuminating green. We also have all of our discharges color-coded and labeled. The red indicator is indicating that it's flagged for foam capability. As we move to the right, you'll find a red push-button air horn. And then as we move down, you'll find the number 2 passenger and also number 3 driver side 2.5-inch discharge. Right to the right of that, you'll find the large diameter passenger side discharge. Let's move just to the right where you'll find your water tank level indicator. It is the blue module. And then moving further to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in great detail. Just to the right, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then as we move down, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line, and then also tank to pump. As we move to the right, you'll find your push to prime, air prime, fire pump primer. There are instructions for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs while in drafting or prime mode. As we move down, you'll find a warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then to the right, we have a warning here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. This is also the location for your driver's side auxiliary inlet 2.5 locally controlled ball valve female coupling. All of your discharge drains are located across the very bottom section, and they are color-coded and labeled. Back to the placards, this is your Watrous placard. You have a 1,500-gallon GPM pump. To the right, you'll find your pump drain, and then just underneath that, you'll find the manual pump shift. As we look just underneath the running board, you'll find an additional drain. This is for the driver's side auxiliary inlet. You also have a cutout section within the running board where you'll find hose storage location, dry deck, and also Velcro to tie down. Let's go back to those Watrous placards where you have a pump model of a CSU and a pump transmission of a C20D. Also, as we move to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI, the associated GPM on the left-hand side, associated RPM at test pressure on the right side. We have a governed speed of 2,400 RPMs at pump test pressure, and then also your job number in the upper left-hand corner. We'll move through the rest of the compartments relatively fast. We have some compartments with adjustable shelves and also trays. For the trays, the release mechanism is going to be located on the right. Each compartment does have ventilation and also LED lights. In this, we show SCBA bottle storage location here. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find the fill location for your DEF, which is the blue cap. As we move to the right or rear of the axle, you'll find the silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur. There are 2 SCBA bottle storage, one in front of and rear of the axle. They do have retaining straps for safety. As we move up, you'll find your tool board release mechanism on the hinge side once it has been fully opened. Close up here of the DEF tank and also your SCBA bottle storage. This is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank, once again blue cap. As we move down, you have Goodyear tires and Alcoa wheels. Let's move back up to the diesel fill location. Once again, silver cap, ultra low sulfur diesel. Let's move further to the next compartments, to the very rear section, where we have, once again, adjustable shelves, ventilation, and also LED lights. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, let's start first with identifying some of the items on the left side of the vehicle. We have hose bed lights and also rear scene lights. As we move to the back, you'll find also you have a warning regarding pressure hazard because of that discharge located there. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. This is the 2.5-inch driver's side discharge at the rear. And then also we have a recessed backup camera. And then just above that recessed camera is where you'll find your recessed traffic advisor. As we move to the right, we do have a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement, and that's why we have this warning placard. As we move to the rear compartment, once again, this is a through side-to-side compartment. And then as we move toward the rear, you'll find the D-handle gains you access to your ground ladders, 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof. You have 2 pike poles located in the upper left and a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Let's move to the hose bed, where the hose bed dividers are movable. You can adjust those. There are 2 located here, and there's also a fixed on the far right-hand side. As we move to the side of the vehicle, on the passenger side, all compartment doors open. Let's start at the rear of the apparatus and move forward. Adjustable shelving once again, and also a pull-out tray. Release for that tray is located on the lower right-hand side. It will lock into position, and you'll need to depress that to restore it back to its stored position. SCBA bottles for at least 6 bottles on this side with retaining straps. As we move into the compartment directly over the axle, we have a 12-volt breaker box located in the very top section. Close-ups here of the SCBA bottle storage. Let's move down to the rear axle. Once again, Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel. And then we'll take a quick look at the additional SCBA for the front of the axle. But let's focus in on the exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please be very cautious where you park your vehicle. Let's move into the next compartment up, where you'll find a pull-out tray on the lower section, the release mechanism located on the left, and then adjustable trays, ventilation, and also LED lights in these compartments. Once again, release on the right side. As we move to the midship location, this is where your pump house is located. Let's start at the very top section with the crosslays. At the very top, we have crosslay 1 and 2, and then also a 2.5-inch crosslay. All of these are foam capable. As we move to the pan door, this is your calibration, and then just beneath that, you'll find your foam drain. As we move toward the exterior, you're going to find your cab lift operating instructions. This is for tilting the cab. Please ensure all items are secure in the cab prior to raising or lowering. Also, you'll find caution and danger placard information on this. We do have a protected switch on the left and then your activation switch on the right. As we move through, an additional pan door on the left, and then also your primer drain located in the lower section. Large diameter passenger side discharge, and then also the number 2 passenger side discharge. Color-coded drains in the lower section. Also, the running board does have an additional cutout section, dry deck material, and also Velcro tie-downs for your supply hose. As we move to the rear cab, let's start first with the door panel, safety and warning placard information located here, electric window control, a door lock and latch combination, and grab handle. As we move inside, overhead you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights and your air conditioning unit. 2 forward-facing seats, and then also 2 additional compartments with netting on the outer edge. As we move forward to the officer position, you'll find an exterior door. Inside there, you'll also find a bus bar located in the upper left-hand corner of the compartment. As we move back down, once again, Alcoa wheel, Goodyear tire, visual sight gauge indicator. Let's go inside of the officer space, and we'll start first with the door panel, where you'll find affixed to that door panel safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move to the floor, you're going to find an air horn foot pedal and also mechanical siren foot pedal. As we move up to the seat area, you'll find directly under the seat, which is fixed, you'll find an additional compartment space. General view overhead in front of the officer seat. Let's first start with some of the components where you'll find your go lights. There are two control modules here for the right and left go light on the top of the roof. Front scene, rear scene, driver's side scene, and passenger side scene just to the left. And then also your fire comm module for volume control and squelch. As we move underneath, this is a wireless fire comm system. This is the wireless base system. You'll also find these red and white labels throughout the vehicle. These are indicating warning that there is a spare wire behind this panel. Please don't remove these placards until things are installed properly. You'll also find at the very front bumper, as we look at it, this is going to be your 1.5 inch swivel discharge, and then this is the tubbed storage location with dry deck material inside for the hose. As we move to the rear, these are the adjustable hose bed dividers that we previously talked about. We also have hatch compartments in the very top. There are 2 on the passenger side and also 2 on the driver's side. And then just forward of that location, you'll find an additional 2 passenger and driver's side for a total of 4 hatch compartments. Let's move to the dunnage area next. This is where you'll find the top fill locations for your water tank and foam tank fill. As we move to the foam tank itself, we do have an additional warning placard on both water and foam, but I would like to point this one out indicating warning, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the forward section of the dunnage, this is where your master stream is located. You'll also find just in front of that location, you'll find all of your cross lays. This does have an extension allowing you to raise the master stream device over the cab area. Once again, 3 cross lays located here. As we move toward the front section of the cab, I would like to point out we have a couple warning placards. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards indicating that. The next set of images are going to be that from underneath the chassis area. We do have some direct pull. These are rated for 6,000 pounds for direct pull. Those are not intended for your toe attachment points. As we move through, I would like to point out when raising the cab, this is a safety bar that should be in place when the cab is fully raised. Do not lower your cab onto this bar. Keep equal pressure cylinders on both the passenger and driver side. This is merely a safety device. This is the TAC 4 front suspension. Let's go ahead and look to the rear of the front axle where you'll find your battery box. This houses the positive and negative battery jumper studs. And then also you'll find the reservoir for your hydraulic lift. Once again, the next set of images are the underside of the chassis area. Then I've got a short video regarding your emergency warning lights, just on a quick walk around with your lights on. Congratulations, Clark Cowlitz Fire and Rescue, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38569. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you.